Hello, this is the Harboring Light. I'm Mary. I give a conservative perspective about the world around me. So, social media along with email will be provided. And just to run off a few of the podcast platforms that I'm on Audible, Spotify for podcasters, Pandora, and I'm pushing and growing to wherever you enjoy your podcast, I'm on it. And also, as I mentioned in the Friday's episode about my running ad campaign that I have going on, particularly in the Texas region, and particularly on the current podcasts that are running. It's on, you can hear it on Dateline 2020, Megyn Kelly, Tinfoil, the Tinfoil Hack, Lore, those podcasts. And it rotates, so it might be still on Ben Shapiro, is still on Mike Rowe, the way that I heard it, and so on. So all you guys that are in Texas, give it a listen, listen to those podcast platforms that I mentioned, and tell me what you think. Either email me or follow me on Substack. And also, ratings are greatly important. So, feedback, email me or follow me on Substack, give me a comment, and it'd be greatly appreciated. And I appreciate all you listeners out there. So, all of the feedback is more than welcomed. So, in this episode, I'm going to do it a little bit different this time. So, I'm going to talk about two different countries and talk about the background first on this episode, and then give the musical aspect and have that broken down, the musical aspects and everything of that nature on Wednesday, and on Friday I'll wrap everything up with particular artists from these regions. All right, so let's get into it and let's talk about it. Okay. Turkish music used to be mostly associated with belly dancing, while recently the whirling have gained wide popularity on the world music circuit. However, there is much more to Turkish music than that, as demonstrated by its great influence across the Eastern Mediterranean and Balkans, and its growing following amongst the Turkish and in Northern Europe. And in the Kurdish, believe the pronunciation, and as I stated, Northern Europe. Okay, Turkish folk. Folk music is currently one of the most popular genres in Turkey. It is performed in daily life and it is traditional, orally transmitted as the form, but it has also become a commercial phenomenon, with a new wave of young singers performing the traditional songs and new orchestrations on TV and on disc. Turkish folk music is dominated by the sounds of the saz, I believe the pronunciation of that, a long neck lute, which comes in the various size and with the variety of the number of strings. Okay, so Zaz music and the TRT sound. Large symbols of Zaz dominated the Turkish radio and television station, hence TRT, folk music style. All recordings bear the mark of the tremendously successful style of the mid-80s, buzzing around orchestras, driving rhythms, and a deep, soulful voice singing and Turkish folk song. Regional folk. The quintessential rural Turkish ceremonial music combination is of the shram and the drum duo. Outside of the large cities of the west of Turkey, these instruments can be heard at almost any celebration. You will know you are among Black Sea Turks if you hear a small upright fiddle, a bagpipe, or a smaller or shrill version of this. The daval and the zurna, I believe the pronunciation of that. All around the country, the contemporary musicians are updating and reinventing the local styles. Okay, so here we are. I'm going to talk about the South African jazz sound, the background. And then on Wednesday, I'm going to go more in depth about the music, the Turkish music and the styles, and the music of South Africa with the jazz, the particular styles. Go more in depth about that, but I'm just going to do a rundown right now. And then I also give, on Friday, talk about different musical artists from both Turkey and the South African, and with the groups, along with the jazz sounds from South Africa, these particular groups, and then tie it in with from my take of how they transcend the sound from both Turkey and the Turkish styles of music, and with the South African jazz sound too. Okay, so the post-war era was a time of tremendous growth and innovation for Africans in all the arts. Living conditions remained substandard for many, but before the draconian structures of new apartheid systems were implemented, residents indulged themselves with a certain optimism and an illusion of permanency and belonging. Jazz crystallized sophistication and urban and political aspirations. Middle-class urban Africans before apartheid were developing a strong social and economic base. Residential segregation placed them out with their much poorer neighbors. Out of this mix came the Jazz Society of the 40s and the 50s, associations with suburbs like Cape Town's District 6 and Johannesburg, Sophia Town. Okay, to add on to this, South African jazz is a permanent reminder of the link between music and the dismantling of oppression. Now, I'm gonna wrap up by touching in on this. So, swing. In the cities and parts of the U.S., jazz on record was available, collected by black fans and players. The cities of Cape Providence were particularly jazz-oriented, perhaps because of their populations. The traditional music may have fostered an intuitive understanding of jazz harmony and improvisation. In Johannesburg, musicians found the greatest number of bands and the biggest audiences. Solomon Zulu Boy, Cecily Jazz Mannix, and Cecily Jazz Mannix, just to name a few, were the archetypical African jazz band of the late 30s. After World War II, the Harlem Swingsters were active for several years. The alto saxophonist, composer Isaac Zaks, along together with the tenor, with Elson Timba, and the trumpeter Elijah Namani, I believe the pronunciation, forgive me for that, but on Wednesday I'll get more in depth about his name, but Namani I believe the pronunciation is of that, helped make up the front line of the African swingsters. Tenor saxophonist Wilson King Force successfully led the jazz force. Okay, I want to end on all these thoughts about music from Turkey, and in particular music, the jazz sound of South Africa. I think it's quite interesting when you delve deep into it. Holding on to the traditional roots of the Turkish sound and the traditions of the culture through music, and to go into depth more further to get into the aspects of their values of how they view life and the way of life, and the simplicity of appreciating the world around you, and then the aspect, get off of it, sit right here. And no, you stay over here. Okay?
Mommy,
Yeah, come on. And to delve deep in it, or that, to expand on the aspirations that the culture has about the way of life of everything else into that. And I'll go further about that on Wednesday. And why I'm saying, because of the particular musical styles that address the conservative issues, and the standings of holding on those conservative traditions is quite remarkable. No, stay right here. Okay, stay right here with me until I'm finished. And then the music from South. No, don't mess with that. Don't mess with that. I know, but you don't need to mess with it. And then the music. Excuse me for my babies. What? Yeah. Okay. Shh. And then the music from South Africa with the jazz, I think is a really good testament about how most of the time, nearly all the time, history dismantles certain aspects about things that are pushed as an agenda of the modern era. So, for instance, the aspect of that, particularly with blacks, weren't able to uproot and uphold through oppression. When in this time, particularly in the 60s and the 50s, when it's an objective truth that it was turbulent and real racism and oppression was going on, that people, sweethearts, don't do that, that particularly blacks and particularly people from Johannesburg, real African-rooted people were able to, who are still, unfortunately, this happens still in some regions of South Africa, and of Africa in general, slavery, which people unfortunately will ignore, still exists. And finding your way and melding everything together and finding a means to express yourself through music in order to tie people together and to make harmony and to make subtlety in the harmony, and with the subtlety and the harmony to unify people through music is very remarkable. So it also links to the aspects in the whole idea of that, the aspects of this, that you can change your situation and you can make things better if you truly aspire to. And even in the depths of heartache and despair, there is some ways to get to the next level, to the next point. And I think that these particular bands from South Africa, put that down, baby, put that down, put that down. Don't do that. Okay, go inside if you want to do that, okay? Okay. So because of this, that they were able to be singers and have their unique spin on how they see jazz and their interpretations about jazz and the world around them is truly inspiring and inspirational too. No, Maverick, get over here. Go inside. Go inside. Y'all just can't handle being outside. You won't listen. You won't do anything. Come on, sweeties. Sorry about that, y'all. You gonna behave? Yeah, you don't need to do that. You stay around with me, okay? Okay, everyone. This reaches the end of the Heart Green Light. So as I mentioned on Wednesday, I'll go into more depth about the aspects of the particular styles of music from Turkey and from South Africa. And on Friday, I'm going to highlight everything with the artists from these regions. Tune in, turn up, and definitely take care. And as Vitamin C says so wisely, put a smile on your face and make the world a better place. And I think that's absolutely true, because a lot of times that, and which I've heard before, it's easier to be down and, so to speak, of to be down and to be cruel and to be unwilling to see the reality of positivity, but to see the strength in it is something to rally around and to speak on, because I think that's what the message is of this song, is that yes, things can get really hard in life, and it also speaks to terms that this was a pop song in the early 2000s, that sending the message things can get hard in life, but in actuality, you know, the value of appreciating what's really important really helps to get through the hard times, and to appreciate what you have around you and to notice what you have around you really radiates too. Now I'm going to move over to a movie reference and to say about Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Now most, critics, and when I say that, well, Ferris Bueller was just a person who was looking for his own interests. He doesn't really care about the world around him, or that he was just a manifestation of Fry's internal struggle of being more of more prominent in his own life. And so from that, the whole aspect of stopping and noticing the roses around you is really something to say that, and I'm paraphrasing, of course, about what Ferris Bueller was saying, because it makes the notion that if you really start to appreciate and see what's around you, you start to realize in the grand scheme of things, where we all place and where we all fit, and then how things that we think are really important, uh, when you dig deep even further, they're really not. And you stick to the values of what's really important and what helps you go on. All right, so off to Wednesday. Bye-bye now.